So today we're going to learn about sum and difference identities. So before we start, here's some formulas that you might want to write down and memorize. So first one is the cosine of sum. So it's cosine alpha plus beta equals cosine alpha times cosine beta minus sine alpha times sine beta. The second one is cosine's of difference, which is cosine alpha minus beta equals cosine alpha times cosine beta plus sine alpha times sine beta. And then 3 to 8 is the cofunction identities. So number 3 says sine of pi half minus u equals cosine of u. Number 4 is tangent pi half minus u equals cotangent u. Number 5 is secant times pi half minus u equals cosecant u. Number 6 is cosine pi half minus u equals sine of u. Number 7 is cotangent pi half minus u equals tangent of u. Number 8 is cosecant times pi half minus u equals secant u. So number 3 to 8 is the cofunction identities. Number 9 is the sine of sum, which is sine of alpha plus beta equals sine of alpha times cosine beta plus cosine alpha times sine of beta. Number 10 is the sine of difference, which is sine of alpha minus beta equals sine alpha times cosine beta minus cosine alpha times sine beta. And then number 11 is the tangent of sum, which is tangent of alpha plus beta equals tangent alpha plus tangent beta all over 1 minus tangent alpha times tangent beta. And then number 12 is tangents of difference, which is tangent alpha minus beta equals tangent alpha minus tangent beta all over 1 plus tangent alpha times tangent beta. Okay, so let's start doing problems. So example 1, find the exact value of cosine of 75 degrees. We will use the cosine of sum formula. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to pick two angles that add up to 75 degrees. So what are two angles in our unit circles when added gives you 75? We could use 30 and 45 degrees, because when you add those two you get 75 degrees. Okay, now the next step is use the cosine sum formula. Right, so we're going to use the cosine of alpha plus cosine of beta equals cosine alpha times cosine beta minus sine alpha times sine beta. So now we gotta just plug in. We know that we'll call alpha, call that 30 degrees, and then we'll call beta 45 degrees. So just plug it in. So cosine of 30 plus 45 equals cosine of alpha, which is 30, and then cosine of beta, which is 45, minus sine of alpha, sine of 30, and then sine of beta, which is 45. So cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2. Cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2, so times root 2 over 2, minus, I'm going to put bracket, sine of 30 is 1/2, and then sine of 45 is root 2 over 2. So on the left side, root 3 times root 2 is root 6 over 4, minus 1 times root 2 is root 2, and then 4. When you simplify this, this is root 6 minus root 2 over 4. That's your final answer. So first step, we just had to figure out which 2 degrees when added give you 75, so we said it was 30 and 45, and then you got to figure out which formula to use, so we decided we're going to use the cosine of sum formula, and then you just plug it in, and then you just simplify. Let's do another one, same idea. So we got to find the exact value of cosine of pi 12. Pi over 12. So it's, yes, so we got to find the exact value of cosine pi over 12, and pi over 12 is equivalent to saying cosine of 15 degrees. If you don't know what it's in radians, so in degrees it's 15 degrees. So I'm going to use the cosine of difference. So we need two angles when subtracting gives you 15 degrees. So I'll use alpha equals 45 degrees, and then beta equals 30 degrees. Because when you subtract 45 minus 30, that gives you 15 degrees. So we said that we're going to use this cosine of difference. So that's cosine alpha minus beta equals cosine alpha cosine beta plus sine alpha and sine beta. So we know what is cosine of, we need to know cosine of alpha, which is 45, and then we need to find the cosine of beta, which is 30, plus sine of alpha, which is 45, and then sine of beta, which is 30 degrees. Okay, so cosine 15 degrees, because 45 minus 30 is 15 degrees. So now we just got to plug in for our numbers. So cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2. Cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2. Plus sine of 45 is root 2 over 2. And then sine of 30 is 1/2. So let's simplify. So root 2 times root 3 is root 6 over 4. Plus root 2 times 1 is root 2 over 4. Let's simplify that. So it's just root 6. So it's just root 6 plus root 2 all over 4. So that's your final answer. Let's do another one. Okay, so it says use a cofunction identity to find the exact value of the sine of sine of 5 pi over 12. Okay, so use a cofunction identity to find the exact value of sine of 5 pi over 12. So going back, you can go look at the formula if you need to review it. So cofunction identity is from 3 to 8. So I will use this number 6. Sine of u equals cosine pi half minus u. So sine of 5 pi over 12, so I'm going to use the number 6, so which is sine of u equals cosine pi half minus u. So that's like saying cosine pi half. Our u is 5 pi over 6. I mean 5 pi over 12. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 6. So that's cosine 6 pi over 12 minus 5 pi over 12. So that's cosine of 6 pi minus 5 pi is 1 pi, pi over 12. So, and that should give you sine of u. Five pi over 12. Okay, so we know from the previous problem, cosine of pi over 12 is cosine of pi over 12 is root 6 plus root 2 over 4, because that was from a previous problem. So we can say that cosine of pi over 12 is root 2 plus root 6 over 4. Okay, let's do another one. Same idea, using the cofunction identity. So we got to use the cofunction identity to find the exact value of actually let's find the exact value of sine. So the problem says find exact value of sine of 195. So we need to find two angles when added gives you 195. So I'll use alpha equals 150 and then beta equals 45. So we're going to use the sine sine of sum. So we're going to use sine of sum. So it's sine of 150 plus 45 equals sine of alpha cosine of beta plus cosine alpha sine of beta. So sine of 150 is sine of, and then cosine 45 degrees plus cosine of 150 and then sine of 45. So sine of 150 is 1/2, positive 1/2. Cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2. Plus cosine of 150 is negative root 3 over 2. Times by sine of 45, which is root 2 over 2. When simplified, that gives you root 2 over 4 minus root 6 over 4. So that when simplified gives you square root of 2 minus square root of 6 all over root 2 minus square root of root 6 all over 4. And that should be your final answer. Let's do the same, another one. So we gotta find the exact value of tangent pi over 12. So it's the same idea, find the exact value of tangent pi over 12. So we'll say alpha, we need two angles. Pi over 12 is like, what was it? 15, right? Pi over 12. So we gotta find two angles. When subtracted gives you 15, so I'll use alpha equals 45. And then beta equals 30. Okay, so tangent alpha minus beta. So we're going to use the difference of tangent, where alpha equals 45 and beta equals 30 degrees. So that equals tangent of alpha minus tangent of beta divided by 1 plus tangent alpha tangent beta. So that's tangent of 45 tangent of 30 degrees 1 plus tangent of 45 and then tangent of 30. Okay, so tangent of 45 is root 2 over 2 minus, tangent of 45 is 1 not root 2 over 2. So tangent of 45 is 1 minus tangent of 30 is, so tangent of 30 is y over x, so it's 1/2 divided by root 3 over 2. 2 cancels, so that's 1 over root 3 times it by root 3. So that's just root 3 over 3. 1 minus root 3 over 3 divided by 1 plus tangent 45 is 1 times tangent of 30, which is root 3 over 3. So when you simplify it, we can, for the 1, we could just say 3 over 3 is the same thing as 1, same thing as 3 over 3, so it's 3 minus root 3 over 3 divided by 3 plus root 3 over 3. So the 3 cancels, so you're left with, I'll put it on the left side, so it's 3 minus root 3 over 3 plus root 3. So I will take the conjugate of 3 plus root 3, 3 plus root 3, so the conjugate of that is 3 minus root 3. Okay, so the numerator is the this is the perfect square trinomial, so perfect square trinomial is a minus b square equals a square minus 2ab plus b square. Okay, so a square is 9 minus 2ab, which is 2 times 3 times root 3 plus 3. And then like b squared is just plus 3. And then this is the perfect square, so a square minus b squared equal a square minus b squared is the perfect square, so 3 squared is 9 minus square root of 3 squared is just 3. So when you simplify this, you should get 12 minus 6 times root 3 over 6. So you could factor out a 6. So that's 6, 2 minus root 3 over 6. So 6 cancels, and then you're just left with 2 minus root 3. That's your final answer. Okay, last one. It says use inappropriate identity to simplify each expression. So for part A, we have cosine of 47 degrees, cosine of 2 degrees, plus sine 47 degrees times sine of 2 degrees. Okay, so I will use it says use an appropriate identity to simplify each expression, so I will use cosine as a difference. So I'm going to use cosines of difference. So what cosine difference is cosine alpha minus beta Okay, so we'll say alpha is 47 and beta is 2. So that's like saying cosine of 45 degrees, right? And you can actually do all the work, but I know that cosine of 45 degrees is just root 2 over 2. That's your final answer. Let's do part B. So same idea, use an appropriate identity to simplify each expression. So I was given sine of t times cosine of 2t minus cosine of t times sine of 2t. So I'm going to use sign of difference. So sign of difference is sine of alpha minus beta equals sine alpha cosine beta minus cosine alpha sine of beta. So we could say alpha is t and beta is 2t. So that's like saying sine of t minus 2t equals sine of t cosine of 2t minus cosine of t times sine of 2t. So sine of t minus 2t is sine of negative t or negative sine t. So that gives you, when you simplify, that gives you sine of t cosine of 2t minus cosine of t times sine of 2t. And that's your final answer. Whoops. Okay, that's it for this section.